The culture of Papua New Guinea is many-sided and complex. It is estimated that more than 7,000 different cultural groups exist in Papua New Guinea, and most groups have their own language. Because of this diversity, in which they take pride, many different styles of cultural expression have emerged. Each group has created its own expressive forms in art, dance, weaponry, costumes, singing, music, architecture and much more. To unify the nation, the language Tok Pisin, once called Neo-Melanesian, has evolved as the lingua franca, the medium through which diverse language groups are able to communicate with one another in parliament, in the news media and elsewhere. People typically live in villages or dispersed hamlets which rely on the subsistence farming of yams and taro. The principal livestock in traditional Papua New Guinea is the oceanic pig. To balance the diet, people of PNG hunt, collect wild plants, or fish, depending on the local environment and mode of subsistence. Those who become skilled at farming, hunting, or fishing, and are generous, earn a great deal of respect in Papua New Guinea. Traditional cultures. On the Sepik River, there is a world-renowned tradition of wood carving. These carvers create forms of plants or animals, because they believe these are their ancestor beings and because they feel they are beautiful. They also create traditional skull portraits. Also well represented in the collections of museums around the world is the Malagan art tradition of New Ireland. Gunn, Michael, Philippe Feltier, New Ireland Art of the South Pacific, Melange Continents Editions, ISBN 8874393695. Even though seashells are no longer the currency of Papua New Guinea, seashells were abolished as currency in 1933. This heritage is still present in local customs. In certain parts of the country, a groom must bring a bride price to the wedding ceremony. In some cases this is paid in golden-edged clamshells. In other areas, a dowry is payable rather than bride price. These payments may take the form of shell money, food, pigs, cash, or other goods. In some parts of the New Guinea highlands, people engage in colorful local rituals that are called sing-sings. They paint themselves and dress up with feathers, pearls and animal skins to represent birds, trees or mountain spirits. Sometimes an important event, such as a legendary battle, would be enacted at such a musical festival. Culture of violence. The level of violence against women is among the highest in the world. Some 70% of women in Papua New Guinea will be raped or physically assaulted in their lifetime. A string of particularly violent sorcery-related crimes and gang rapes in 2014 caused an outcry from the international community. In February, a 20-year-old mother was stripped, tortured, and set on fire after being accused of witchcraft, reports AFP. In April, an elderly woman was beheaded for the same reason. The United Nations spoke out against these attacks, urging the government in PNG to take action. Alarming incidents of violence perpetrated against persons accused of sorcery and witchcraft, with women being affected disproportionately, particularly widows or other women with no family to protect them, according to the UN. Child abuse is rampant. Music. Traditional music. Christian missionaries disapproved of Papuan folk music throughout the colonial period of the country's history. Even after independence, the outside world knew little of the diverse people's traditional music genres. The first commercial release to see an international audience didn't occur until 1991, when Mickey Hart's Voices of the Rainforest was released. After 1872, foreigners introduced Christian hymns, including Gregorian chanting, Paravitwanidia, Ute and Taibubu. All forms of Polynesian music were also introduced in this period. The gold rush brought an influx of Australian miners who brought with them the mouth organ. Traditional celebrations, which include song, dance, feasting and gift-giving, are called sing-sing. Vibrant and colourful costumes adorn the dances, while a leader and a chorus sing a staggered approach to the same song, producing a fugue-like effect. 1993 saw television spreading across the country, and American popular music continued to affect Papuan music given the diffusion of radio since World War II. Since 1953, sing-sings have become competitive in nature, with contests occurring in Port Moresby, Mount Hagen and Goroka. 1949 saw the first Papuan to achieve international fame, Blasius Tuuna, begin his career. Popular music. Radio broadcasting of Western popular music began by the late 1930s. String bands became very popular by the early 1950s, and soon dominated the pop landscape. In the late 1960s, rock bands like the Copycats had appeared in cities, while string bands like the Paramana Strangers had become well known internationally. This was followed by the importation of bamboo bands, a style of music from the Solomon Islands using bamboo tubes played by hitting them with sandals. It first arrived in the area of Madang in the mid-1970s and soon spread throughout the country. By the end of the 70s, a local recording industry had appeared, and artists like Sangama and, later, George Tellick, began mixing native and Western styles like rock music and jazz. Visual arts. There is a rich and diverse tradition of visual art. In particular, Papua New Guinea is world famous for carved wooden sculpture, masks, canoes, storyboards. Many of the best collections of these are held in overseas museums. Those identified as being in the first wave of contemporary art in Papua New Guinea are Matthias Kauijobe, the first missionary, 1977, National Gallery of Australia, retrieved 16 June 2007. Timothy Akis, Jack Upperacco and Joe Nalo, all from the tough urban area of Port Moresby. Kauij won Australia's Blake Prize for Religious Art. 4 of his works are in the Glasgow Museum of Modern Art, and he had a solo show in 2005 at the Horniman Museum. Kauij's visions, art from Papua New Guinea. Other noted Papua New Guinean visual artists include Larry Santana, Martin Morababuna and Heso Kiwi. Eugenie arts. Sports are hugely popular in Papua New Guinea, and its citizens participate in and watch a wide variety. Popular sports include various codes of football, cricket, volleyball, softball, netball, and basketball. Other Olympic sports are also gaining popularity, such as boxing and weightlifting. Rugby league is the most popular sport in Papua New Guinea, which also unofficially holds the title as the national sport. PNG vow to upset World Cup odds. Rugby League. BBC. 15 October 2008. Retrieved 3 July 2009. But it would still be one of the biggest shocks in World Cup history if Papua New Guinea, the only country to have rugby league as its national sport, were to qualify for the last 4. The annual Australian State of Origin Series matches are the most watched sporting event of the year. The West New Britain Rugby League player Marcus Bai is a national celebrity after he played for the National Rugby League with Melbourne Storm. A new national competition started in 2005 called the SP Cup. Australian rules football was once the most popular sport in PNG until the 1970s. It is gaining popularity with the introduction of players at the top level into the AFL, including Mal Michael and James Gwilt. PNG has the largest number of Australian rules footballers outside of Australia, and has one of the fastest growing junior development programs. The Mosquitoes, currently captained by Navu Maha are the national team and were runners-up in the Australian Football International Cup in both 2003 and 2005. Cricket has been traditionally popular in Papua New Guinea, where the British had the most influence. In the Trobriand Islands, cricket has become fused with the local culture, and a game played with stones instead of a ball and unlimited fielders has developed. It was introduced in 1903 by Methodist missionaries, and has become a beloved sport there.